Donald Trump is a major deal maker, and he has made his money mainly from Manhattan real estate.
Donald Trump.
President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is expected to sign.
One of the most important things, never, ever quit. Never quit. Never, ever give up.
Donald John Trump is one of the most well-known and talked about people in the world. He's been a businessman, a TV star, and the 45th President of the United States. His life has been full of big successes, controversies, and moments that changed history. Love him or hate him, his story is unforgettable. Born in Queens, New York, Trump grew up in a family that owned a real estate business. Over the years, he turned that business into something much bigger, putting his name on buildings, casinos, and even a popular TV show. Later, he made the jump into politics, surprising everyone when he became president in 2016. But his journey to the top wasn't always easy, and his life is filled with ups and downs. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York City. He was the fourth of 5 children in the Trump family. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer who built houses and apartments for middle-class families in New York. His mother, Mary Ann, was a Scottish immigrant who came to America when she was young. Growing up, Donald's family had money, but they weren't like the super-rich families of Manhattan. Fred Trump believed in hard work and discipline, and he expected the same from his children. Donald's personality stood out early. He was confident, competitive, and sometimes rebellious. When Donald was a teenager, his parents sent him to the New York Military Academy, a strict boarding school, because they thought he needed more discipline. At first, Donald didn't want to go, but he later said the experience helped him. At the academy, he became known as a leader. He was good at sports, especially baseball, and he liked being in charge. The school's structure taught him to work hard and follow rules, but Donald always found ways to stand out. Donald admired his father and wanted to follow in his footsteps. Fred Trump often took him to construction sites and taught him about the real estate business. These trips left a big impression on Donald. He loved seeing buildings being made and learning how deals were done. Even as a teenager, Donald started dreaming big. He didn't just want to work for his father, he wanted to make a name for himself. After graduating from the military academy in 1964, Donald went to Fordham University in New York for 2 years. But he wasn't satisfied there. He wanted to be where the action was, so he transferred to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the top business schools in the country. He graduated in 1968 with a degree in economics. During this time, Donald kept learning from his father, but he also started to think bigger. While Fred Trump focused on building homes in Queens and Brooklyn, Donald wanted to expand into Manhattan, where the richest and most famous people lived. He believed that to be successful, you needed to dream big and take risks, and that's exactly what he planned to do. By the time Donald finished college, he was ready to step into the real world. His childhood and early experiences had shaped him into someone who was ambitious, confident, and determined to stand out. But the journey ahead would be anything but simple. After graduating from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 1968, Donald Trump returned to New York City and joined his father's real estate business, Elizabeth Trump and Son. At just 22 years old, Donald was eager to prove himself. The company had been successful in building affordable housing in Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island, but Donald had bigger dreams. He wanted to take the family name to new heights, and for him, that meant one thing: Manhattan. Fred Trump was a practical businessman who focused on stability and profitability. He taught Donald the fundamentals of the real estate business, how to negotiate deals, secure financing, and manage construction projects. Fred was cautious and avoided unnecessary risks, which helped the company grow steadily. However, Donald wasn't interested in steady growth. He wanted to take risks, aim high, and make the Trump name a symbol of luxury and power. One of Donald's first projects was a small deal involving a Cincinnati apartment complex. His task was to oversee the renovation and management of the property, turning it into a profitable venture. Donald succeeded, impressing his father and giving him the confidence to pursue larger opportunities. The move to Manhattan. By the early 1970s, Donald started looking beyond Queens and Brooklyn. He saw Manhattan as the center of power, wealth, and opportunity. While his father was skeptical of the high costs and risks involved in Manhattan real estate, Donald was determined. He believed that bold moves would bring big rewards. One of his first major projects in Manhattan was the transformation of the Commodore Hotel. The once Grand Hotel, located near Grand Central Terminal, had fallen into disrepair. In 1974, Donald negotiated a deal to acquire the property. This was no small feat for someone so young and relatively inexperienced. To finance the deal, Donald convinced Hyatt Hotels to partner with him and secure tax abatements from the city government. The project was a success. In 1980, the Commodore reopened as the Grand Hyatt Hotel, a sleek, modern building that became a symbol of Manhattan's revitalization and of Donald Trump's growing ambition. Building the Trump name. While working on the Grand Hyatt deal, Donald realized the importance of branding. He wanted people to associate the Trump name with success, luxury, and boldness. This was when the Trump logo began appearing prominently on his projects. To Donald, a building wasn't just a building, it was a statement. During this time, Donald also began making connections with influential people in politics, business, and the media. He understood that building a powerful network was just as important as constructing skyscrapers. His charm, confidence, and ability to sell himself made him a rising star in Manhattan's real estate scene. Controversies and criticism. Donald's early years in real estate weren't without controversy. In 1973, the Trump Organization was accused of racial discrimination in their housing practices. A lawsuit alleged that the company had refused to rent apartments to black tenants. Donald and Fred denied the claims, but eventually settled the case without admitting wrongdoing. This incident marked the beginning of Donald's complicated relationship with the media and the public. While some criticized him, others admired his determination to fight back and defend his name. Trump Tower. The dream takes shape. By the late 1970s, Donald's focus shifted to his most ambitious project yet, Trump Tower. Located on Fifth Avenue, Trump Tower was designed to be more than just a building. It was meant to be a landmark. The plan was to create a luxury skyscraper filled with high-end apartments, offices, and retail space. To make it happen, Donald had to negotiate with multiple property owners, secure financing, and overcome numerous challenges. He was relentless, often pushing people to their limits to get what he wanted. His hard work paid off, and Trump Tower became a reality in the early 1980s. By the end of the 1970s, Donald Trump had transformed himself from a young apprentice in his father's business into a bold and ambitious developer in Manhattan. He had learned how to take risks, negotiate deals, and make his vision a reality. The stage was set for the next phase of his journey, one that would bring even greater successes, controversies, and challenges. The 1980s were a transformative decade for Donald Trump. It was during this time that he turned his name into a global brand and cemented his reputation as one of the most ambitious and controversial figures in American business. From skyscrapers to casinos, Trump's empire grew rapidly, but his rise to fame wasn't without challenges, risks, and controversies. Trump Tower, the crown jewel. Donald Trump's vision for Trump Tower became a reality in 1983. The 58-story skyscraper, located on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, was a statement of luxury and ambition. With its glass facade, marble interiors, and waterfall centerpiece, Trump Tower became a symbol of the high life in New York City. The building housed luxury apartments, high-end retail stores, and Trump's personal office. It wasn't just a building, it was a declaration that Donald Trump had arrived. The success of Trump Tower solidified Donald's position as a major player in Manhattan real estate. Celebrities, business elites, and even royalty purchased apartments in the building. Trump spared no expense in marketing the project, making sure his name was front and center. To him, the Trump brand wasn't just about buildings. It was about creating an image of success, power, and exclusivity. With the success of Trump Tower, Donald Trump began looking beyond Manhattan. In the mid-1980s, he set his sights on Atlantic City, New Jersey, a struggling resort town trying to revive itself through legalized gambling. Trump saw an opportunity to dominate the casino industry and bring his signature brand of luxury to the boardwalk. In 1984, Trump opened his first casino, Trump Plaza, a joint venture with Harrah's Entertainment. The project was a success, and Donald quickly expanded. By 1985, he had purchased the unfinished Trump Castle, which he completed and turned into another successful casino. But his most ambitious project in Atlantic City was the Trump Taj Mahal, which he dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. The Taj Mahal, which opened in 1990, was the largest and most extravagant casino in the world at the time. With its opulent design and massive construction costs, it symbolized Trump's larger-than-life persona. However, financing the project required massive loans, putting Trump's finances under significant strain, a problem that would soon come back to haunt him. While Trump was building his casino empire, he continued to expand his real estate portfolio. He acquired the historic Plaza Hotel in New York City in 1988, a property he considered a personal treasure. Although it was a financial risk, Donald famously said, "For me, the Plaza's not just a building, it's a masterpiece." He renovated the hotel to restore its historic grandeur, branding it as one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. Trump also ventured into other industries, purchasing an airline, Trump Shuttle, in 1989, and dabbling in sports by acquiring the New Jersey Generals, a team in the short-lived United States Football League, USFL. These ventures showcased his willingness to take risks, but also revealed a pattern of overextending himself financially. By the mid-1880s, Donald Trump wasn't just a businessman, he was a celebrity. He cultivated relationships with the media, granting interviews, and making bold claims about his success. His lavish lifestyle, high-profile real estate deals, and glamorous events kept him in the headlines. Trump was also known for his book, The Art of the Deal, published in 1987. The book became a bestseller and further elevated his public image as a master negotiator and businessman. In it, Trump shared his philosophy on success, deal-making, and risk-taking. While some criticized the book as self-promotional, it cemented Trump's image as the ultimate deal-maker. During this decade, Donald's personal life also drew significant attention. He had married Ivana Zelničková, a Czech model and businesswoman, in 1977, and together they had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. Ivana played a key role in Trump's businesses, managing the Plaza Hotel and other projects. The couple's glamorous lifestyle and high-profile appearances made them one of the most famous power couples of the 1980s. However, cracks in their marriage began to show by the late 1980s. Rumors of Donald's infidelity, particularly his relationship with actress Marla Maples, began circulating, setting the stage for a very public and messy divorce in the early 1990s. By the end of the decade, Trump's aggressive expansion and reliance on debt began to catch up with him. The construction of the Trump Taj Mahal had pushed his finances to the brink, and his investments in airlines, casinos, and real estate were heavily leveraged. While Donald continued to project an image of success, the reality was that his empire was starting to show signs of instability. By 1990, Donald Trump was at the height of his fame and influence. He had built an empire that stretched from New York to Atlantic City and beyond, becoming a symbol of wealth and ambition. But the very risks that had fueled his rise would soon lead to some of the greatest challenges of his life. By the early 1990s, Donald Trump's empire was starting to crumble. After a decade of rapid expansion and bold investments, the financial pressure from his massive debts began to catch up with him. His over-reliance on borrowed money, coupled with an economic downturn, created a perfect storm that pushed Trump's businesses and his personal brand to the brink of collapse. The Trump Taj Mahal, which opened in 1990, was Donald's most ambitious project. Dubbed the eighth wonder of the world, it was a $1 billion casino filled with luxury features, from crystal chandeliers to gold-plated decor. But the cost of building and operating the Taj Mahal was staggering. Trump financed the project with high-interest loans and junk bonds, believing that the casino's success would offset the debt. Unfortunately, the Taj Mahal failed to generate enough revenue. Competition from other casinos in Atlantic City, combined with the economic recession of the early 1990s, led to lower than expected profits. Within a year of opening, the Taj Mahal declared bankruptcy. It was a major blow to Trump's reputation as a businessman. The failure of the Taj Mahal set off a chain reaction for Donald Trump's other businesses. His casinos, hotels, and real estate ventures were all heavily leveraged, meaning they relied on borrowed money to operate. As revenues dropped, Trump struggled to keep up with interest payments. By 1991, Trump's companies were more than $3 billion in debt, with over $900 million of that debt personally guaranteed by Donald himself. This meant that if his businesses couldn't pay, he would be personally responsible for the money owed, a dangerous position for anyone, even a billionaire. Trump had no choice but to negotiate with his creditors. Over the next few years, he worked to restructure his debts and avoid complete collapse. The banks, recognizing Trump's ability to generate publicity and attract investors, agreed to keep him afloat. However, the terms were tough. Trump had to give up significant control of his businesses, sell off assets, and cut back on his lavish lifestyle. During this period, Trump was forced to sell some of his most prized possessions, including his yacht, the Trump Princess, and his airline, Trump Shuttle. He also lost ownership of the Plaza Hotel, though he managed to retain a management role. Despite these losses, Trump fought to maintain his public image, insisting that his setbacks were temporary. As Trump's financial troubles worsened, his personal life also made headlines. In 1991, Donald and Ivana Trump went through a highly publicized and messy divorce. The split was fueled by Donald's affair with actress Marla Maples, which became tabloid fodder. Ivana accused Donald of infidelity and demanded a large settlement. The divorce not only strained Donald's finances, but also put his personal life under intense public scrutiny. For a man who thrived on controlling his image, the constant media attention was a significant challenge. Despite this, Trump continued to embrace the spotlight, using it as an opportunity to stay relevant. A slow comeback. By 1994, Donald Trump had managed to restructure much of his debt and regain some stability. He negotiated deals that allowed him to retain partial ownership of his properties while reducing his financial obligations. These deals were seen as a victory for Trump, who was able to avoid total bankruptcy and start rebuilding his empire. One of the keys to his comeback was his ability to reinvent himself. Rather than focusing solely on real estate, Trump began exploring other opportunities to expand his brand. He licensed the Trump name for use on various products, including clothing, fragrances, and even board games. The Trump name became synonymous with luxury and success, even as his personal finances remained shaky. Public perception. Despite his financial troubles, Donald Trump remained a polarizing figure. Some admired his resilience and ability to bounce back from failure, while others criticized him for his risky business practices and the impact of his bankruptcies on investors and employees. Trump, however, embraced the controversy, famously saying, "Sometimes by losing a battle, you find a new way to win the war." By 1995, Donald Trump had weathered one of the toughest periods of his life. He had lost much of his wealth and influence, but he had also shown an ability to adapt and survive. The next phase of his journey would focus on rebuilding his empire and his image, while exploring new ways to expand the Trump brand. By the mid-1990s, Donald Trump had survived a near collapse of his financial empire. Although his businesses were still under scrutiny, Trump managed to rebuild his reputation and re-establish himself as a force in the real estate and entertainment industries. The period from 1995 to 2004 marked a shift in Trump's career, from a developer focused on physical properties to a brand builder whose name became a symbol of luxury, ambition, and controversy. Licensing the Trump name. One of Trump's biggest realizations during this time was the power of his name. He understood that Trump was more than just a last name, it was a brand. Even though some of his real estate ventures struggled, people still associated the Trump name with luxury and success. Trump capitalized on this by licensing his name for a wide range of products and properties. From skyscrapers to golf courses, Trump began attaching his name to projects he didn't necessarily own or operate. Developers around the world paid him to use the Trump name on their buildings, believing it would attract wealthy buyers. This strategy allowed Trump to make money without taking on the financial risks of ownership. The Trump brand expanded globally, with properties bearing his name in cities like Chicago, Las Vegas, and even abroad. Venturing into television, Trump's personality and larger-than-life presence made him a natural fit for television. In 1997, he began appearing regularly on TV shows and talk programs, building his image as a charismatic and controversial figure. However, it was his foray into reality television that would redefine his public persona. In 2004, Trump launched The Apprentice, a business-themed reality TV show where contestants competed for a chance to work for him. The show became an instant hit, and Trump's catchphrase, "You're fired," became iconic. The Apprentice showcased Trump as a savvy businessman and decision-maker, reinforcing his reputation as someone who understood success. The show also introduced him to a new audience, many of whom saw him as an aspirational figure. For Trump, The Apprentice was more than just entertainment. It was a platform to further solidify the Trump brand, rebuilding the real estate empire. While Trump's name became a valuable asset, he also focused on rebuilding his real estate portfolio. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, he completed high-profile projects like Trump World Tower near the United Nations headquarters in New York City. The sleek residential skyscraper was marketed as one of the most luxurious addresses in Manhattan, catering to wealthy buyers and international elites. Trump also expanded into the world of golf, developing and acquiring luxury golf courses in the United States and abroad. These properties became an important part of his brand, attracting wealthy clients who associated the Trump name with exclusivity and prestige. One of Trump's most notable projects during this period was the Trump International Hotel and Tower in New York City. Located near Central Park, the building combined luxury hotel rooms with high-end residences. The project was a financial success and further demonstrated Trump's ability to market luxury living under his brand. Donald's personal life remained a subject of public interest. In 1993, he had married Marla Maples, with whom he had a daughter, Tiffany. However, their marriage was short-lived and they divorced in 1999. In 2005, Trump married Melania Naus, a Slovenian model. Their wedding was a star-studded event, reflecting Trump's status as a celebrity in his own right. Despite his personal controversies, Trump thrived on media attention. Whether it was his marriages, his business deals, or his bold statements, Trump understood how to keep himself in the public eye. He believed that all publicity, whether good or bad, contributed to the strength of his brand. By 2004, Donald Trump had successfully reinvented himself. He was no longer just a real estate developer. He was a global brand and a pop culture icon. Through television, licensing, and strategic marketing, Trump had transformed his name into a symbol of wealth, power, and ambition. But while his public image soared, his journey was far from over. By the mid-2000s, Donald Trump was more than just a businessman. He was a cultural icon. His success on The Apprentice and his relentless self-promotion had kept him in the spotlight. But behind the scenes, Trump was beginning to shift his focus from business and entertainment to politics. Over the next decade, he would go from a celebrity mogul to one of the most polarizing political figures in American history. Donald Trump had been flirting with politics for decades. In the late 1980s, he took out full-page ads in major newspapers calling for a stronger U.S. foreign policy. In 2000, he briefly considered running for president as a candidate for the Reform Party, but ultimately dropped out. Throughout the 2000s, Trump made frequent appearances on political talk shows, offering opinions on national and international issues. He became an outspoken critic of President Barack Obama, questioning his policies and leadership. Trump also promoted the debunked birther conspiracy theory, claiming that Obama was not born in the United States. This claim gained Trump significant media attention, solidifying his reputation as a divisive figure. By 2011, Trump began to position himself as a potential presidential candidate. He used his platform on television and social media to criticize both Democrats and Republicans, appealing to a growing segment of Americans frustrated with traditional politics. His speeches and interviews often focused on issues like immigration, trade, and national security. One of Trump's key talking points was his belief that America was being taken advantage of by other countries in trade deals. He argued that the political elite had failed the American people and promised to bring his business acumen to the White House to make America great again. On June 16, 2015, Donald Trump officially announced his candidacy for the presidency at Trump Tower in New York City. In his speech, he outlined his campaign themes, including a promise to build a wall on the US-Mexico border to stop illegal immigration. His announcement drew immediate criticism for its controversial statements, but it also resonated with a large group of Americans who felt left behind by globalization and political gridlock. Trump's campaign quickly gained momentum, fueled by his blunt rhetoric, larger-than-life personality, and ability to dominate media coverage. While many political analysts dismissed his chances, Trump's rallies attracted massive crowds, and his message of disruption appealed to voters across party lines. Trump's rise in the Republican primary was unprecedented. Competing against seasoned politicians like Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio, Trump stood out for his ability to connect with voters on an emotional level. His willingness to attack opponents directly and break traditional political norms made him a constant topic of discussion in the media. Throughout the primary season, Trump's message focused on immigration, trade, and national security. His promise to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., appealed to voters frustrated with the political establishment. Despite criticism from both Democrats and Republicans, Trump won the Republican nomination in July 2016. The general election, Trump versus Clinton. The 2016 presidential election was one of the most contentious in U.S. history. Trump faced Hillary Clinton, a former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State, with decades of political experience. The campaign was marked by intense polarization, scandals, and moments that shocked the nation. Trump positioned himself as the anti-establishment candidate, promising to fight for the forgotten men and women of America. His rallies drew massive crowds, and his use of social media, especially Twitter, allowed him to bypass traditional media and speak directly to his supporters. The campaign was not without controversy. Trump faced backlash for comments about women, immigrants, and minorities, as well as allegations of sexual misconduct. Despite this, his base remained loyal, and his message of restoring American greatness resonated in key swing states. On November 8, 2016, Donald Trump shocked the world by defeating Hillary Clinton to become the 45th President of the United States. His victory defied polls and predictions, with Trump winning key states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. His campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," became a rallying cry for millions of Americans. By the end of 2016, Donald Trump had completed one of the most unlikely journeys in American political history. From a real estate mogul and reality TV star to the leader of the free world, Trump's rise was as controversial as it was historic. The next phase of his life, his presidency, would prove to be even more transformative and divisive. On January 20th, 2017, Donald J. Trump was inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States. His presidency marked a dramatic shift in American politics, breaking many traditions and norms. Trump's leadership style, policies, and rhetoric sparked both passionate support and fierce opposition, making his 4 years in office one of the most polarizing periods in modern U.S. history. Within his first weeks in office, Trump moved quickly to fulfill campaign promises. He signed a series of executive orders, including the controversial travel ban targeting several predominantly Muslim countries. Critics labeled it discriminatory, while supporters saw it as a necessary step for national security. Trump also withdrew the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, trade agreement, and began the process of rolling back regulations in industries like energy and banking. His administration emphasized an America First agenda, prioritizing domestic economic growth and reducing U.S. involvement in international agreements. The media coverage of Trump's presidency was relentless from the start. Trump frequently clashed with reporters, accusing major outlets like CNN and the New York Times of spreading fake news. His relationship with the press became one of the defining features of his presidency, with Trump using Twitter as his primary platform to communicate directly with the public. One of Trump's biggest legislative achievements came in December 2017 with the passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which lowered corporate tax rates and provided temporary tax cuts for individuals. Supporters argued that the law boosted economic growth, while critics claimed it disproportionately benefited the wealthy. Under Trump, the U.S. economy saw a period of growth with record-low unemployment rates by 2019. However, critics pointed out that much of the growth began during the Obama administration and questioned whether Trump's policies would have long-term benefits. Immigration and the border wall immigration was a cornerstone of Trump's campaign, and as president, he made it a priority. His administration implemented a zero-tolerance policy that resulted in the separation of migrant families at the U.S.-Mexico border, drawing widespread criticism. Trump defended the policy as necessary to deter illegal immigration, but it sparked outrage both domestically and internationally. Trump also pushed for the construction of a border wall, one of his key campaign promises. While he secured some funding, the project faced legal and logistical challenges, and much of the border remained unchanged by the end of his presidency. Trump's approach to foreign policy focused on reducing U.S. involvement in international conflicts and renegotiating trade deals. Some of the most notable actions during his presidency included withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement. Trump argued that the agreement unfairly burdened the U.S. economy. Tensions with NATO. Trump criticized NATO allies for not contributing enough financially to the alliance. Meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to meet with a North Korean leader, holding summits in 2018 and 2019 to discuss denuclearization. While these meetings garnered global attention, they produced little substantive progress. The U.S.-China trade war. Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, arguing that the trade imbalance between the two countries hurt American workers. China responded with retaliatory tariffs, creating economic uncertainty. Trump faced significant legal and political challenges during his presidency. In 2019, the House of Representatives voted to impeach Trump for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, accusing him of pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. Trump was acquitted by the Senate in early 2020. In 2021, Trump became the first U.S. president in history to be impeached twice. The second impeachment came after the January 6th Capitol riot, during which a mob of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol to disrupt the certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory. The House charged Trump with incitement of insurrection, but he was again acquitted by the Senate. The COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic became the defining crisis of Trump's presidency. The virus, which first emerged in China in late 2019, spread rapidly across the globe in early 2020. Trump's handling of the pandemic was widely criticized, with opponents arguing that he downplayed the severity of the virus and failed to implement a cohesive national strategy. However, the Trump administration took credit for Operation Warp Speed, a program that accelerated the development of COVID-19 vaccines. Vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna were authorized for emergency use by the end of 2020, marking a significant achievement. The pandemic also devastated the US economy, erasing much of the job growth from Trump's first 3 years in office. Despite efforts to provide relief through stimulus packages, millions of Americans faced unemployment and financial hardship. The 2020 election. Trump ran for re-election in 2020 against Democrat Joe Biden. The campaign was marked by intense polarization, with debates over the handling of the pandemic, racial justice protests, and the state of the economy dominating headlines. On November 7, 2020, major media outlets projected Joe Biden as the winner of the election. Trump refused to concede, claiming widespread voter fraud without providing substantial evidence. His legal team filed numerous lawsuits, most of which were dismissed. The dispute culminated in the January 6, 2021, Capitol riot, during which a violent mob stormed the Capitol building. The event led to widespread condemnation of Trump and overshadowed the final days of his presidency. By January 20, 2021, Donald Trump left the White House as one of the most controversial presidents in U.S. history. His presidency fundamentally reshaped American politics, leaving a legacy that continues to spark debate and division. As Trump transitioned back into private life, his influence on the Republican Party and American culture remained undeniable. After leaving the White House on January 20, 2021, Donald Trump entered a new phase of his life, one marked by reflection, legal battles, political influence, and a persistent desire to remain in the spotlight. Though no longer president, Trump's influence on American politics, the Republican Party, and his supporters yet remained strong, as he signaled that his time in politics might not be over. Upon departing Washington, Trump relocated to his private residence at Mar-a-Lago, his luxury resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Mar-a-Lago became Trump's personal and political base, hosting events, rallies, and meetings with Republican leaders. The estate, a symbol of Trump's wealth and status, also served as a hub for his loyal supporters. Although out of office, Trump kept a busy schedule, making public appearances, delivering speeches, and staying active in conservative politics. He continued to insist that the 2020 election had been stolen, a claim that fueled ongoing controversy and investigations into the January 6th Capitol riot. In the aftermath of the Capitol riot, the House of Representatives impeached Trump for the second time on January 13, 2021, charging him with incitement of insurrection. This made Trump the first president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. The Senate trial took place in February 2021, after he had left office. Although 7 Republican senators voted to convict, the 57-43 vote fell short of the 2/3 majority required for conviction. Trump was acquitted once again, but remained under intense scrutiny for his role in the events of January 6th. Legal challenges and investigations. Following his presidency, Trump faced a series of legal battles, ranging from investigations into his business practices to his handling of classified documents. Some of the most notable cases included: 1. Classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. In 2022, the FBI conducted a search of Mar-a-Lago to recover classified documents Trump had taken after leaving office. The investigation raised questions about his compliance with federal laws regarding presidential records. 2. Civil and criminal investigations. Trump's business dealings came under scrutiny in New York, where prosecutors investigated alleged tax fraud and financial misrepresentation within the Trump Organization. In 2023, the company faced penalties, and Trump himself was entangled in ongoing lawsuits. 3. Election interference investigations. Trump's efforts to challenge the 2020 election results, including his phone call to Georgia officials asking them to find votes, led to investigations into potential election interference. Despite these challenges, Trump maintained his innocence, dismissing the cases as politically motivated witch hunts. Influence on the Republican Party. Even out of office, Trump remained the dominant figure within the Republican Party. His endorsement became a key factor in GOP primaries, and many candidates aligned themselves with his policies and rhetoric to win support from his base. Trump's ability to draw massive crowds to rallies and maintain his loyal following gave him significant influence over the direction of the party. However, this dominance also deepened divisions within the GOP, as some traditional conservatives sought to distance themselves from his polarizing style. The 2024 presidential campaign. In November 2022, Donald Trump announced his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election, vowing to "Make America Great Again, once more." His campaign focused on issues such as border security, energy independence, and opposing what he called woke policies. Trump's announcement reignited debates about his leadership style and the potential impact of his return to the White House. His candidacy divided both the Republican Party and the nation. While his base remained loyal, other factions within the GOP expressed concerns about his electability, especially after some Trump-backed candidates underperformed in the 2022 midterm elections. Donald Trump returns to the White House. Against all odds, Donald Trump has once again taken the oath of office, becoming the first US president in modern history to serve non-consecutive terms. His return to the White House has reignited debates across the nation, with his supporters celebrating what they see as a victory for the American people, while his critics brace for another turbulent era. Trump has vowed to pursue bold policies, including stronger immigration controls, energy independence, and a crackdown on crime, while continuing his battle against what he calls the deep state and political corruption. But what lies ahead for the country? Will Trump's leadership bring the change his supporters demand? Or will his return deepen the divisions that have shaped his political journey? What do you think? How will Trump's second term impact the United States and its place in the world? Will he deliver on his promises, or will history repeat itself? What opportunities or challenges do you think his presidency will bring to the nation? Let us know your thoughts. As of today, Donald Trump's legacy remains one of the most debated in American history. To his supporters, he represents a voice for the forgotten, a disruptor of the political establishment, and a leader who prioritized American interests. To his critics, he symbolizes division, controversy, and a challenge to democratic norms. What is certain is that Trump has left an indelible mark on the United States. From his business empire to his presidency and post-presidential influence, Trump's story is one of ambition, controversy, and an unrelenting desire to win. Donald Trump's life remains a story in progress, as his influence continues to shape American politics and culture. Whether he will reclaim the presidency or remain a powerful force in conservative politics, his journey is far from over. The next chapter in Trump's life has yet to be written, but one thing is clear: his legacy will be studied, debated, and remembered for generations to come.